Thank you. Senator Heller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to continue on what my friend from Montana is questioning on these ROVs, but I want to thank you and ranking member for today's hearing. I appreciate it, and I think these hearings are critical in ensuring product safety and consumer safety. I too would like to discuss the Commission's proposal that would impose mandatory safety standard focused on the lateral stability and the vehicle handling and other related issues for recreational off-highway vehicles. As the committee is well aware of, I've had long concerns over this rulemaking, and I have strong concerns that these proposed standards will actually make the vehicles much less safe and much more dangerous. It's where we are today. Your ideas, your direction is going to make vehicles less safe and more dangerous. And we have a commission that's treating these ROVs like road vehicles and not the vehicles that they were intended for, and that's for rugged terrain. I was pleased to know that Commissioner Robinson finally sat in one. Long overdue, probably, for someone who has to make these rules. And unfortunately, it was done in a test case in a facility that I'm sure had them on the roads, had them on asphalt, didn't have them on rugged terrain, but on some testing facility that's supposed to guarantee you to show that they're not safe. And that's unfortunate that that's where we are. Last year, a bipartisan group of senators, including myself, Manchin, Klobuchar, Caskell, Blunt, Ayotte, Fisher, and Wicker, all sent letters, and you mentioned that, Commissioner, urging the Commission to abandon its proposed mandatory standards in favor of a voluntary consensus standard. And unfortunately, things have not progressed as we had hoped as senators, and that's why Manchin and I introduced the SAFE Act, or the RIDE Act. Our bill, which passed this committee on May 20th by a strong bipartisan vote, would help seek to answer technical questions surrounding this particular mandate. It would put the brakes on the CPSC's proposal until the National Academy of Sciences completes a technical study on the proposed requirements. And I think we can all agree that it's important that we get to the engineering and technology issues right, ensuring that any mandates, voluntary or mandatory, actually contribute to an overall increase in safety. Making these vehicles safer is, I believe, everyone's goal. Mr. Chairman, do you believe the industry's goals are to make these vehicles safer?
I believe, Senator, that the industry certainly does not want to have its consumers of their products experience an unreasonable risk of injury. I just think that they might have a different risk tolerance or definition of what unreasonable would be than we might.
What is the difference between your risk tolerance and theirs?
I think that they, from my perspective, and this is just me speaking, I'm not speaking for any of the commissioners or the commission itself, my sense of it is that because our statutory obligations require us to consider foreseeable misuse, meaning if somebody chooses not to wear a seatbelt, which many people we know choose not to do, or somebody chooses not to wear a helmet, as many people choose not to do, statutorily, we're still obligated to consider those factors as part of what is unreasonable or not. Whereas I think industry, understandably, I get it from their perspective, they view anybody who chooses not to wear a helmet or not to wear a seatbelt as assuming risk and having to deal with the consequences of that, and that might not be the first group of consumers that they're trying to take care of.
So do you believe that every driver or passenger of an ROV should wear a seatbelt or a helmet?
I do.
Under any circumstances, regardless of what terrain they may be on?
Well, you're talking to somebody who has two young boys who's trying to reinforce a message, especially when you're in a moving vehicle of that nature, or you're on some type of bike, or you're playing a sport where you should take care of your head, and head injuries and brain injuries has been a particularly important area for me. So certainly I'm going to say a helmet, absolutely.
Right.
In terms of seatbelt, if you're going 5 miles an hour and you're jumping on and off the vehicle, I can understand from a utility perspective where that might not make as much sense.
Do you own an ROV?
I do not, but I don't think I'd be allowed to where I live.
Have you driven or ridden an ROV?
I've sat in them, but not while they've been moving.
Okay, okay. See, that does concern me. Now, you said in a hearing recently that you stated that an adequate voluntary standard is the preferred solution. Do you still feel that way?
Absolutely, yes.
You had a recent meeting with the off-road industry, and I understand there were productive discussions. Is that accurate?
Yes, I believe that's accurate.
Do you think you're nearing an agreement of voluntary standards?
That's the reports that I've been getting, and I have to admit I've been surprised by that because you're talking about years of an industry and agency staff that have not had a lot of trust. But in the last 6 or so months, I'd say that something significant has happened and we're in a much different place. And so I really hope that's where we get.
So would you anticipate suspending rulemaking at this point, or at a minimum extending the public comment section on this issue?
So we've already extended the public comment section by a long period of time. And I think at this point, I believe it's closed at this point, that we've received a significant number of comments. I am concerned about if we keep extending the comment period and folks keep submitting comments, that's going to take CPSC staff off of the productive dialogue that's going on. So I'm hesitant to get in the middle of that and do anything that's going to change the dynamics, because I really do think that this is a unique place, and we all have our fingers crossed that this is going to result in a win-win.
Thank you. Chairman, my time's run out.